It might seem strange at first, but what we call reality is actually just one of the infinite possibilities available in the quantum field. Everything already exists. Every version of your life, every path, every opportunity. But you can only experience what your consciousness is ready to observe, or better said, what your vibration allows you to access. What if I told you that right now, there are versions of you living different realities, some more prosperous, others lighter, others more loving, and that, without realizing it, you're choosing one of these versions simply by the way you look at the world? Your consciousness is the key. It's not a reaction to what happens. It's the source. Your inner vibration silently selects like a hidden code which line of reality materializes before you. With every thought, every emotion, every act of observation, you are collapsing possibilities and crystallizing one of them as your reality. In this video, you'll understand how this process works, and more importantly, how to change what you're experiencing without needing anything external to change. Because real transformation begins when you awaken the observer within, the one who chooses with presence, with intention, and with wisdom. Consciousness doesn't react to reality, it defines it. From a young age, we're taught to see reality as something external, fixed and solid, as if the world is happening out there, and our minds are just reacting to it. We're taught we're passive observers, dealing with facts, circumstances, and events beyond our control. But what if it's the other way around? What if reality doesn't come first, but is actually a response to the vibration of your consciousness? Modern science, especially quantum physics, shows us that reality isn't a stage where everything is already set. It's a vibrational field, a sea of possibilities, a universe in potential, waiting for the observer's consciousness to organize it into form. The very act of observing isn't neutral. When you look, you influence. When you feel, you shape. When you believe, you transform what's in front of you. The world you see isn't the world as it is. It's the world as you're able to perceive it. Matter doesn't present itself on its own. It responds to the frequency of the one observing it. Consciousness doesn't react to the world. It translates it, decodes it, interprets it through the lens of your dominant vibration. That means two people looking at the same situation can see completely different realities. One sees chaos, the other sees opportunity. One feels fear, the other excitement. What changed? The vibration of the observer. Once you understand this, you start to realize it's not reality coming to you. It's you stepping into the version of reality that matches your inner frequency. Life isn't imposing anything on you. It's simply showing you what you're ready to see. And that changes everything. Because if what you perceive depends on your consciousness, then by raising your level of consciousness, you literally shift realities. But here's the catch. This doesn't mean you can just think positive and everything will magically change. Transformation happens when there's a real vibrational shift within, when your thoughts, emotions, and intentions align with a new frequency. It's like tuning a radio. You need to tune into a different station for a new song to play. Reality is responsive. It's always answering to your inner state. So what you observe out there is often a refined projection of what exists in here. And that projection isn't symbolic. It's literal, energetic, precise. The universe doesn't make mistakes. It reflects exactly what your consciousness is emitting. So if something in your life feels repetitive, limiting, or frustrating, don't look outside first. Look within. Ask yourself, what vibration is shaping this experience? What in me is being reflected here? When you do this, you step out of the role of victim of circumstance and into your true role, that of a conscious co-creator of reality. Because consciousness isn't here to react, it's here to choose, to direct, to manifest. And the more you understand this, the more you align with the sacred role you came to fulfill, that of a vibrational being, a creator of worlds, an observer who defines what is revealed. Every observation is a collapse point of possibilities. In every moment, infinite possibilities are available to you, not metaphorically, literally. Reality in its most subtle essence, isn't a fixed structure. It's a quantum field, pulsing alive, filled with every possible version of your life. Every path, every decision, every outcome already exists in potential, and your consciousness is the lens that selects from those infinite options, the one that will collapse into your lived experience. On the quantum level, matter isn't sitting there, ready, waiting to be perceived. What exists is a sea of vibrating energy, and that energy takes shape only when a conscious observer interacts with it. At that moment, the moment of observation, one among countless probabilities becomes concrete reality. This is what's known as the collapse of the wave function. In other words, the act of observing, feeling, and focusing causes the field of probabilities to narrow into a single manifestation. And here's the most important part. That collapse isn't random. It's directly influenced by the observer's vibration. Your emotion, your intention, your inner state, these are the codes that determine what kind of reality will be revealed. You're not just seeing what's there. You're making a specific possibility become real out of all the others that were also available. Imagine two people walking through the same park. One is filled with gratitude, delighting in the beauty around them. The other is lost in thoughts of lack, worry, and frustration. They're in the same physical place, but their experiences are completely different. One sees light, color, life. The other sees problems, trash, noise. That's because each is collapsing a different version of reality according to their consciousness. This process is constant. Every glance, every judgment, every emotion you emit while observing something, you're collapsing a new version of the world. You're telling the field, this is what I choose to see. This is what I believe. This aligns with who I am right now. And the field responds. Always. With absolute fidelity to your vibration. And again, remember, it's not just about looking. What determines the collapse isn't the mechanical act of seeing, but the vibrational quality of your observation. Observing with fear creates a different collapse than observing with peace. Observing with expectation yields a different reality than observing with judgment. Emotion plus intention equals the key to collapse. This is the combination that activates potential and brings a specific timeline into form. So when we say you choose your reality, we're not talking about conscious desire or willpower. We're talking about the vibrational alchemy that happens every moment your consciousness meets the world. The choice is always happening, whether you realize it or not. Your inner state is constantly tuning into frequencies and collapsing realities in your life. The question is, are you choosing with presence, or are you collapsing by habit, repeating the same frequencies, the same judgments, the same emotions, and therefore living the same realities? When you awaken to this mechanism, everything changes. You realize you don't have to wait for something external to happen. You can right now shift the quality of your observation, and with it, shift the reality that collapses in front of you. Not because you forced the world, but because you accessed a version of it that was always there, waiting to be chosen. Your inner vibration is the filter that defines your line of reality. Everything in the universe vibrates. Everything emits a frequency, and that includes you. Your thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and intentions form a unique vibrational field that silently radiates into the energetic field around you. That field, in turn, responds to you with precision, not based on what you want, but based on what you vibrate. The vibration of your consciousness acts like a filter, and that filter is what determines, among all possible realities, which one will be perceived, experienced, and manifested by you. The reality you live isn't random, nor is it solely determined by external factors. It is aligned with the frequency you most consistently emit. This means your vibration doesn't just influence the world, it selects the world. Think of it like tuning a radio station. All the frequencies are out there, all of them available, but you only hear the one that matches your device's tuning. In the same way, all versions of your life already exist in potential within the quantum field, but you only access and experience the one that harmonizes with your dominant vibration. What you feel while observing is what determines which version of the world appears to you. If you look at life through fear, insecurity, or self-doubt, you will resonate with lines of reality that reflect exactly those states. Not because the world wants to punish you, but because the field is coherent. It returns to you the vibration you emit. It shows you a version of reality that confirms what you feel. It's as if the universe says, "Oh, that's what you're tuned into? Then here's the matching reality." On the other hand, when your observation is filled with gratitude, presence, and appreciation, the field responds as well, but with a different version of the world. One where abundance can be seen, where opportunities arise, where beauty is noticed. And what's most incredible is that the outer world might remain the same, but what you see, feel, and experience changes completely because you change the vibrational lens through which you observe it all. That's why the same situation can produce radically different interpretations for different people. A challenge might seem like punishment to someone vibrating in guilt, and like a hidden blessing to someone vibrating in growth. The same number in a bank account may cause despair in one observer and peace in another. Because what truly matters isn't the fact itself, it's the internal state of the observer. Vibration is silent, but it's the language the universe understands. More than words, more than wishes, it's your internal state that communicates to the field what reality you're ready to live. And that reality comes, always, precisely in tune with your frequency. That's why caring for your vibration isn't a spiritual luxury. It's an act of conscious creation. It's the key to aligning your experience with what you truly wish to live. Observing with presence, with lightness, with gratitude, completely transforms the kind of reality that presents itself to you. Because vibration doesn't just color the world, it defines which version of it will emerge as real. If there's something in your life that feels stagnant, difficult, or out of alignment, it's not just about changing the circumstances, it's about changing the vibration with which you're observing those circumstances. When your vibration changes, the filter changes, and with it, so does the line of reality you access. Consciousness creates coherence, and reality follows. There's a profound intelligence in the way the universe responds to consciousness. It's not magic nor luck, it's coherence. Reality, no matter how chaotic it may seem at first glance, is governed by subtle laws of resonance and alignment. And one of the most powerful of those laws is this: the outer world organizes itself based on the internal, vibrational coherence of the observer. What does that mean? It means that when your thoughts, your emotions, and your intentions are in harmony, you enter a state of energetic coherence. And that state acts as a clear command to the quantum field. The universe doesn't respond just to what you want or what you feel momentarily. It responds to the dominant frequency of your consciousness. And the more coherent that frequency is, the stronger and more accurate the reality it attracts will be. Most people live in vibrational fragmentation. They think one thing, feel another, and act on a completely different impulse. They want peace but live in conflict. They desire abundance but look at life through fear and lack. They long for love but see themselves through the lens of judgment and internal rejection. This incoherence creates noise, and the universe, receiving contradictory signals, doesn't know exactly which reality to collapse. The result is an unstable, stuck life, full of repetition and frustration. But when there is alignment, when intention is clear, feeling is authentic, and attention is present, the field responds with flow. Reality reorganizes with precision, as if it were just waiting for that command to move. Resistance dissolves, delays disappear, everything clicks into place, synchronicities appear, answers arrive, because you've entered coherence with what you've been asking for. That coherence doesn't require effort, it requires presence, awareness of what you are vibrating. Because often we don't realize we are manifesting the opposite of what we want simply by maintaining habitual thoughts that contradict our deepest desires. And the universe doesn't respond to what you say you want. It responds to what you hold as true through your vibration. The phrase reality doesn't require effort. It requires alignment between what you are and what you observe perfectly captures this principle. When you are aligned with the frequency of what you want to experience, you don't need to chase the manifestation, it comes to you. Because there's no longer any noise between what you're asking for and what you're offering the field. Your vibration becomes a complete yes to the reality that wants to be born. This is the difference between living reactively and living creatively. The reactive person tries to control the effects. The creative person adjusts the cause, their own frequency. And from that coherent cause, life responds with coherent realities. Everything starts to make more sense. The right people show up. Opportunities arise effortlessly. The answers that once felt distant appear with ease. The consciousness that creates coherence is one that knows what it is choosing, feels what it is asking for, and observes with trust what is still forming. It is a mature, awakened consciousness that understands that reality doesn't need to be controlled, only attuned. And that changes everything. Because instead of trying to fix life from the outside in, you begin to care for what's within. And in doing so, reality, obedient, precise, and vibrationally just, aligns with who you truly are. How to change your reality without moving an inch. Most people believe that to change their reality, they must move major structures in the outer world. They think they need to change cities, switch careers, meet new people, or wait for time to fix things. And while external changes can reflect inner transformations, they are not the true origin of change. The reality you live doesn't begin outside. It begins with the way you observe. That's why it can be transformed without taking a single physical step, as long as you shift the frequency from which you're looking. The foundation of everything lies in the awareness of the observer. What you observe, especially in challenging moments, is not fixed. The situation itself is only one of many possible manifestations within a vibrational field. What makes an experience heavy, painful, or limiting isn't the fact itself, but the vibrational interpretation you emit toward it. The emotional position you take defines what kind of reality you're sustaining, and changing that internal position is the turning point. It's not about denying the situation or pretending it doesn't exist. It's about pausing, breathing, and observing with awareness. When you allow yourself that small moment of presence, something magical happens. You leave the autopilot of reaction and enter the creative space of choice. You begin to see yourself as the one who observes, not the one being dragged by what is observed. In that space, a new question arises. What is my consciousness choosing to see here? That question has the power to interrupt old mental patterns, open perception, and help you realize you're collapsing a specific version of reality, and that other versions are also available, just waiting for a new vibration from you to emerge. By changing the question, you change the command center. You step out of the victim role and return to that of the creator. And in that moment, you can choose to shift the emotion that sustains your observation. You can breathe deeper. You can open to the lesson behind the challenge. You can intend gratitude even in discomfort. And that shift in your internal state alters the field around you. It's not about faking an emotion you don't feel. It's about remembering that you have the power to choose the meaning you give to each experience. And that meaning is vibrational. By changing how you read reality, you change your frequency. And when your frequency shifts, reality responds. Sometimes subtly, sometimes surprisingly. But it always responds. The secret is realizing that your point of power isn't in the future or outside of you. It's in the now, in the exact moment you observe. Because that's when reality is being chosen. And if you change the way you observe with more presence, more intention, more truth, you begin to access versions of reality that were previously invisible. You don't need to move to change your reality. You only need to move out of the frequency that's holding it in place, and that begins with a simple act of awareness. Pause, breathe, observe with intention, and choose to vibrate differently. That's how new possibilities emerge, not because the world changed, but because you change the observer creating it. The awakened observer accesses new possibilities. Most people observe the world from patterns. They look, judge, react, and repeat. This process is automatic, and because of that, they live in a sort of closed-loop reality, experiencing the same situations, feeling the same discomforts, recreating similar experiences, even when they desire something completely different. Not from a lack of will, but from a lack of awareness about how they are observing. When you observe the world unconsciously, your mind acts by reflex, by habit, by conditioning. It doesn't see what's truly in front of you. It sees what it was programmed to see. And that blind repetition is what keeps you trapped in the same lines of reality, like watching the same movie, thinking the story is changing, when really only the characters have been swapped. But a rupture is possible, a silent, subtle, transformative turning point. It happens when you awaken as the observer, when you realize that you're not just someone living reality, but someone choosing at every moment which version of reality you access through the way you observe. The awakened observer no longer looks through habit. They look with awareness. They realize that by observing with presence, they open doors that were previously invisible. Realities that once seemed impossible become perceptible. Opportunities begin to emerge. Blocked answers are revealed. Not because the world outside has changed, but because the frequency of the one observing has changed. And with that, the line of reality being accessed shifts as well. This is the secret of quantum leaps. They don't happen because someone did something grand in the physical world, but because someone vibrationally moved into a new version of themselves, and therefore a new version of the world. When your vibration rises, the field around you reorganizes the possibilities you're capable of perceiving. And at this new level of perception, your choices change, your paths shift, and your outcomes transform. The phrase, "the world didn't change," your consciousness accessed another universe within the same space, captures this experience perfectly. Because everything you desire already exists in some line of reality. The question isn't if it exists, but at what frequency you need to be in order to see and interact with it. The awakened observer doesn't try to control life. They know control is an illusion of the ego. Instead, they cultivate clarity. They work on their inner state. They fine-tune their vibration with the reality they want to access. And in doing so, they don't create something new out of thin air. They attune to a possibility that always existed, but was beyond the reach of their previous frequency. That's true freedom, not depending on circumstances to change your experience, but rather accessing higher levels of consciousness that allow you to live new realities, even in the same places, with the same people, in the same scenarios. Because what truly changes is the quality of your observation. The awakening of the observer is the point where life stops being a repetition and becomes a creation, where the world stops reflecting your past and begins expressing your present presence, and from there, everything transforms, not by effort, but by alignment with the infinite possibilities that were always waiting for you. We've reached the end of our journey, and perhaps now you see more clearly. The reality you live isn't imposed, it's chosen. Chosen by the way you observe, feel, and interpret each moment. Consciousness doesn't wait for facts to decide what is real. It defines them. With every gaze, every emotion, every vibrational choice, you are tuning into one of infinite versions of the world. You don't need to control what's out there. You only need to awaken the observer within you, the one who chooses with wisdom, presence, and intention. So here's your challenge. For the next 24 hours, observe everything as if your choice is creating reality, because it is. And remember, life responds to your frequency, not your words. Cultivate the vibration of what you want to live, and the universe silently will open the way.